Hi and welcome to Quick Math. In this segment, we shall go through the maths for two-dimensional objects involving parameter, area, polygon, the various types of quadrilaterals, and Pythagoras Theorem. 2D objects are best taught as shapes having two measurable components, as in length and width in a rectangle, as in base length and height in a triangle or trapezium, and as in radius and angle in a sector or a circle. 2D objects, however, do not carry any thickness component. Now in math, you're often asked to identify the parameter and area of 2D objects. I wish to bring to your attention that when dealing with areas, the unit of measurement must carry a square. Let's now familiarize ourselves with two terms for 2D objects. The side of an object is any one of the straight line representing the shape of the object, whilst the corner of the object is where the two straight lines meet, or the sharp end of the object. In this segment, I will only cover four fundamental 2D shapes for how we get to its parameter and area. Starting with the rectangle, it is represented by the length and width components. I shall not cover the square separately, as the square is a subset of the rectangle where its length and width components are the same. The parameter of a rectangle is calculated by doubling the sum of its length and width components, and the area of a rectangle is calculated by multiplying its length and width components. The second fundamental 2D shape I'm choosing to cover is the triangle. The triangle is represented by the base length and height components. The triangle can tilt in any direction beyond its flat base, but the height of the triangle must be a perpendicular measure from the base to its last corner that is not sitting at the base. The parameter of a triangle is the sum of its three sides, and the area of a triangle is calculated by halving the product of its base length and height components. The third fundamental 2D shape I want to talk about is the trapezium. The trapezium has a pair of parallel sides. It is represented by the length of its parallel sides and height components. A parallelogram can be thought as a subset of the trapezium, with its other two sides being parallel to each other. The height of the trapezium must be a perpendicular measure between its two parallel sides. The parameter of a trapezium is equal to the sum of its four sides, and the area of a trapezium is the average length of its two parallel sides multiplied by its height component. The fourth and final fundamental 2D shape I wish to cover is the sector. The sector is represented by the radius and angle components. The circle is formed when the sector has a 360-degree angle. The parameter of the sector is the sum of the length of its arc and its two radius, with the length of the arc being the ratio of its angle component and 360 with respect to the formula 2 pi r. And the area of a sector is the ratio of its angle component and 360 with respect to the formula pi r squared. Let me now move to polygons. We should be familiar that a three-sided polygon is a triangle, and you have yet to hear about it. A four-sided polygon is called a quadrilateral. As the number of sides increase, the list of names for the various polygons are shown in the table on the right. The following are some of the ways to describe a polygon. A regular polygon is equilateral, which is a term for when all of its sides are equal in length, and equiangular, which is a term for when all of its internal angles are equal. Therefore, an irregular polygon would have two or more sides being different, or its internal angle being different. Separately, a convex polygon has all its internal angles less than 180 degrees and becomes a concave polygon when it has one or more internal angle larger than 180 degrees. Lastly, the complex polygon is used to describe a polygon that has intersecting sides. Next, I want to spend some time on quadrilaterals with respect to the parameters shown under legend on the right-hand side of this page. For the square, it has four sides that are equal in length. Its adjacent sides are perpendicular, and in saying so, it translates to all its internal angles being the same. Finally, the opposing sides of the square are parallel to one another. For the rectangle, only its opposing sides are equal in length. The rest of the parameters are identical to that of the square, with its adjacent sides being perpendicular, with all its internal angles being the same, and its opposing sides being parallel to one another. For the rhombus, all four sides are equal in length. It does not have adjacent sides that are perpendicular, but would have opposing internal angles that are the same. It also has opposing sides that are parallel to one another. For the kite, it has two separate pairs of sides with identical length. It does not have adjacent sides that are perpendicular, and only has one of its opposing internal angles being the same. None of the sides are parallel to one another. For the dart, it is like the kite for all its parameters. In citing the key difference, the kite is a convex polygon, whilst the dart is a concave polygon. For the trapezium, none of its sides are equal in length. It does not have adjacent sides that are perpendicular. Its internal angles are not necessarily the same. It, however, must have one pair of opposing sides that is parallel. For the isosceles trapezium, its non-parallel sides are equal in length. This parameter in turn brings about two pairs of internal angles that are equal. Its remaining parameters resemble a standard trapezium. For the parallelogram, its opposing sides are equal in length. Its adjacent sides are not perpendicular. It has two pairs of internal angles that are equal, and both opposing sides are parallel to one another. To wrap up this segment, I will introduce Pythagoras Theorem. Do note that it is only for right-angled triangles. The longest side of the triangle is the side that is not in perpendicular with any other side. It is C in the diagram on the right. It is called the hypotenuse in math. Pythagoras theorem carries the famous formula a squared plus b squared equals c squared. For quicker work, the Pythagoras theorem can also be expressed as c being equal to the root against the sum of a squared and b squared, or b being equal to the root against the difference between c squared and a squared, or a being equals to the root against the difference between c squared and b squared when solving a math problem. Also, for quick work, you want to be acquainted with the two common combinations of Pythagoras theorem when dealing with math problems. The first fundamental combination for Pythagoras theorem is when C equals 5 and A and B being 4 and 3 respectively. My intent here is for you to be aware that this combination remains true even when they are scaled. Having said so, when C is 10 and B is 6, A must be 8. Likewise, when A is 12 and B is 9, C must be 15. The second fundamental combination for Pythagoras theorem is when C is 13 and A and B being 12 and 5 respectively. I'm likely saying what you already know, that the same sort of scaling can apply for the second fundamental combination. That's all for this segment. If you do wish to test your comprehension of the notes here, you can get onto the video with an identical title where the word notes is being replaced with the words tutorial questions.